we've got Jamie Snowden. We're delighted to say Jamie Snowden has joined us on the phone, who's the trainer of the current favourite, Present View. Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, and thanks very much for joining us here on Freeview 244. You must be looking forward to Saturday. It was a good hurdle one first time out. You must be very excited to take Present View to the Gold Cup.
Oh, very much. We're incredibly lucky that, being a smaller yard and being in the sort of younger generation of trainers, that we've got a horse good enough to at least go and compete, and to be favourite, it's fantastic.
What have you done, Jamie? Because when this horse was running over hurdles, it pulled hard, and the chasing's been the making of him. What have you actually done to get Present View going over the?
Well, it's a funny thing. He came to us and he'd had a couple of runs in Irish point to points, and he'd fallen once and he'd won his second start. And he was a very arrogant individual. He came to us and he thought he knew absolutely everything there was to go. And he was strutting around the stuff. And in his first run at Kempton, he pulled very hard. And like you say, he every time he saw a hurdle, he was like a sort of boy in a sweet shop, and he just bolted at it. And we really had to grab hold of him and say, listen, pal, if you're going to be a decent racehorse, you've got to learn how to race. And we grabbed hold of him and held him up and taught him to run through horses. But in doing that, we suppressed his sort of enthusiasm. And in a way, we were at a bit of a crossroads with him. We obviously had a good horse, but we had to get that sort of confidence and arrogance back. And it was one morning, literally on the grass gallops here in Lambourne, that I saw him work, and it was a sort of hey bingo moment. Present View's back, and we sent him chasing, and luckily he was on the right side of the handicap mark, and up he went. And
obviously, from your point of view, Jamie, you've only been training for a couple of years. How tough was it at the beginning? And obviously now you've got the backing of certainly Sir Chips Keswick, which is a story that you've told a few times. How important is it for you to be training very good horses?
Well, I think it's very important for everybody to have decent horses, and we've been training now for 6 years, and I learnt my trade at Paul Nicholls and Nicky Henderson, and obviously I rode a bit as an amateur, and I had a great grounding into it. The first few years I started up in we started up in '08, and the recession hit, and the first few years were very tricky. But thankfully, the hard work that we put in at that time is reaping benefits now.
And how many horses do you have there, Jamie? And is it true you're sort of having another place to build another 10 boxes?
That's right. We moved into Folly House in 2011 up in Lambourne. We moved in 2011. There were 20 odd boxes then when we moved in. There's 35 boxes now, and we've got planning for another 10.
And you've got a couple of other bumper horses that have not come out yet. Val de Law and Demboy, is that right? Have you got two? Are they two of yours?
Yeah, very much so. I think Demboy, he's an absolute smashing horse. He's by King's Theatre, and he's out of Denman's sister. So he's certainly got the right credentials. And Polly Peacham obviously won a decent mare's handicap at Wincanton at the weekend off top weight. So he's a very nice horse, and he's only a 4-year-old at the moment. He's pleasing us in everything he's doing at home, but we'll just be patient with him. Demboy didn't hit the track until he was a 5-year-old, and I should imagine the same will be said for this chap.
Well, if you've got anything half as decent as Denman, you'll be fine, Jamie. We've got a couple of panellists. Sam would like to ask a question.
Yeah, hi, Jamie. We were lucky enough to... I spoke to you at Huntingdon, and I've been to Folly House and seen how you and your team work, and it's fantastic. I just wanted to ask, a point that you mentioned to myself was the fact that last year Present View had what was described by yourself as the perfect build-up for the race. It went on to win at Cheltenham really well. Has it been a bit of a learning curve for you, having a slightly harder prep towards this, obviously, even bigger target?
Yeah, very much so. Last year, everything went very smoothly from Christmas through to the festival, and everything that we did worked, and we had a very, very smooth run up into the festival. This year, it's been slightly different. Everything was going very well, and we gave him his prep run over hurdles at Cheltenham, which obviously kept his handicap mark where it was. And unfortunately, he clouted the last. He was only beaten ahead. He wasn't fully tuned up, obviously, for the hurdle run, but he clouted the last, and he gave himself a little bit of a skin cut on one of his legs, which has proved a little bit frustrating and a little bit annoying. So our prep into the Paddy Power hasn't been as straightforward as we would necessarily have liked. That said, the vets and our head girl have worked tirelessly and done a very good job, and we've got him in great shape now, and fingers crossed we go there all guns blazing.
And I know you've mentioned, obviously, you've got real high hopes for Present View, and there is an entry, I believe, for Boxing Day, if possible.
Yeah, the entries closed for the King George a couple of weeks ago, and we just put an entry in. At the end of the day, if you're not entered, you can't run, and it's probably pie in the sky at the moment. But if you're not entered, you can't run, and if he goes and runs a great race on Saturday, and fingers crossed wins, then who knows? But if you're not entered, you can't run. So we thought, well, we'll put an entry in and see how the next couple of months goes.
Jamie, thank you very much for your time this evening. I mean, the most important thing is that the horse comes back safe and sound. We're going to be treated to a spectacle on Saturday, and you'll be part of that. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
That's very kind. Thank you very much.